while all of us deal with the present and prepare for the future, some, such as myself, will revisit the past. This time around, I have much more to say about the artwork that was done by Mitsu10Marie _ and the mall's history and design. So let's get going on today's video. To provide a reminder and context of the artwork, it was an artwork I commissioned. The setting itself features 4 characters from Azur Lane visiting a recreated version of the Sherway Gardens shopping mall during the early 2000s, with one change to it. So that's the setting. It's not a time travel story, so that should answer one question some might ask. The artwork, out of the many I've commissioned, this one tops the scoreboard for featuring the widest camera shot, as you can tell by how much of the background is showcased, and such camera shots are ideal to showcase large structures, this being the case of a shopping mall's interior, extending beyond the close range of where the characters are positioned in the scene. Throughout the artwork, you can see the following details: the pillars, the lighting equipment, the stores present, the stairs leading up to the gourmet fair, along with plants, and here's the one change from the actual shopping mall during that era. In the foreground, the middle section was changed to have its area flooded with water, surrounded by a glass and wooden barrier to keep anyone from falling in, of course. The middle section being changed goes back to what I said in the original video, where such an idea began from a dream I had of walking in the mall, where it started off with me standing in the middle, and where I stood, the middle section was altered, featuring a shallow body of water, but without the glass and wooden barriers surrounding the said area. The link to the video will be on the top right if you want to see it for yourself. To move away from the artwork and photos of the mall's food court, if you look at the area behind it and even the food court itself, it shouldn't be a surprise that those two places are well suited for photography and videos. For both areas, they are built under a set of tents that are still present to the mall's design today, which means, unlike some shopping malls, you wouldn't feel cramped in terms of distance from the floor to the ceiling for your entire walk around the mall. And it does create a feeling of walking from areas with lower ceiling surfaces, opening up to a more vast area. And here comes another important factor: lighting. I'm sure every shopping mall has this idea in mind, to have a lot of windows, because this allows for sunlight throughout the daytime hours, thus saves the mall money on utilizing lighting equipment. But having no tint on the windows can present two sides to this topic. It does a good job as an alternative to lighting equipment. Using windows to get sunlight into the building creates a more natural look, and you wouldn't feel 100% indoors because of such lighting playing a part in creating the atmosphere. Relying on windows doesn't work during the night. However, if you work at the mall during daytime hours, you have to deal with sunlight for many hours if your job involves working close or right under all those windows. And finally, if sunlight is a problem, unfortunately, it's quite dominant throughout the mall's design because a majority of Sherway Gardens has windows for sunlight. Even today in the new food court area and the pathway leading to it. The middle section of a shopping mall is often one of the top places that become famous for what a shopping mall is known for, and Sherway Gardens happens to be one of the shopping malls that made its fair share of appearances throughout movies. But when you look up a page that summarizes such structure appearances in films, the pop culture section in the mall's Wikipedia page doesn't summarize all appearances in films. On YouTube, there is a channel by the name of Ruin Road. He has a video covering this topic, which includes mentions of Sherway Gardens appearing in films not listed in the mall's Wikipedia page. And hang on a second. In this particular shot, where the plants can be seen in the background, could that be the area where the Japanese bamboo water fountain was located? I will say, on average, the areas of the mall that appear in films, it's usually done in the middle section or the food court, but I also realize such movies do play a part by coincidence in preserving what the mall used to look like. However, at the same time, many scenes do make it difficult to identify certain areas because most camera shots are in the form of close-up shots in order to have focus on the characters present on screen. So if anyone wants to look up the history of what Sherway Gardens used to look like, it's going to be very limited, especially if you were to try and draw something accurate akin to the early 2000s, because if your goal is 100% accuracy for a certain area, it comes down to where we are talking about and how much media you can find of such areas. And while we can see media of the stairs leading up to the food court, there isn't much media that captured what stores were present behind and below the stairs from certain angles. So going back to some photos, behind and below the stairs of the food court, there is a series of 3 water fountains, one below the stairs, a miniature one surrounding the elevator, and one right below the escalators residing on the side of the food court next to Sporting Life. In this photo, showing a fountain just outside of Sporting Life's first floor, on the left there's a Hollister California store, while other stores present in this photo are shrouded in mystery. And this photo presents a shot taken from the food court looking down to the first floor for the majority of the shot. What we can make out are plants along the railings, food court options that are difficult to see, a Bell mobility booth, the Hollister California store I mentioned before, and the mini water area near the elevator. This photo is also taken from the side of the food court facing Sporting Life. If I was to give credit to Sherway Gardens, it would be about how long they've tried to keep the water fountains. And during the early 2000s, when looking at how things have changed for the mall, the middle area water fountains were the final holdouts of such mall features. That area went from a place with fountains on all 4 corners, then having no water, to inevitably becoming replaced, but with not what you expected. Instead of tearing down those features in the middle entirely for more space, they had those things repurposed for plants. And that's what surprised me about some malls today, choosing to bring back one feature, that being plants. But I do notice a differentiation because when I look at videos and photos, some malls had more plants before the early 2000s. But remember, it always depends on which mall we are talking about. Finally, I want to bring up a question that came to mind weeks ago. Is this mall liminal space or back rooms material? I would say it depends on what area of Sherway Gardens we are talking about. The middle section can be seen as both yes and no. To put myself into that perspective, liminal spaces most of the time are shown in enclosed or tighter spaced areas or close-up shots to create such an immersive experience. While other areas of the mall, this is where I would contradict what I've said earlier and say they really aren't back rooms or liminal space material to me, while something bigger like an open field, or in this case a wide shot of the middle section, it can depend on who the photo is being shown to, or the area can be liminal space material if a less wider shot was used when taking a photo of the area. So this artwork can be summarized with this slogan I came up for it: combining video game characters with childhood memories and creativity. The artwork maintaining a highly detailed background. The way the characters are drawn with simple poses and clothing. Many artists would see that as easy to draw. But what can be considered difficult because of the number of props and details present, which can be different from drawing a character posing near a tree line in the background that was traced from a photo, for example. As for the characters present, I doubt anyone would find Azur Lane characters difficult to draw, but I do agree the lack of information on character height or how the Essex class capes look from different angles is often left to the interpretation of the artist in charge. The background references were not a challenge to locate because the artwork, after all, took place at a well-known feature of the mall. I also forgot to bring up one detail about the middle water area. It lacked any of the features the mall actually has. In the dream, it was just a shallow body of water, and the floor pattern had a very light blue teal color to it, like the ones you would see in swimming pools. There's also a benefit to the photo used as reference. Where the characters are drawn, they cover up the difficult to make out details hidden behind the stairs, while the flooded middle section also helps draw focus to the characters walking by. Can't you see how happy they are? Hopefully they didn't get lost, because how on earth do you get lost in a mall that only has one floor? It's not an IKEA store. So that was the video. It was nice to revisit artwork that has a nostalgic element to it. And speaking of artwork, shopping mall settings are something you wouldn't see quite often because such places are considered highly detailed backgrounds to draw, like I've said earlier. Anything else regarding Sherway Gardens? Well, hopefully one day there's a source out there that has a photo or video of the Japanese bamboo water fountain. And thus far, as usual, I couldn't find anything of it. So what about all of you? What's your favorite shopping mall? What memories do you have of it? Is it anything considered lost media? Let me know in the comments section below. My name is Dragon Actual, and thanks for watching. See you next time.